What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the LA Soccer Hub Show. My name is Gio Garcia. Man, a lot happened this weekend in MLS weekend. A lot going on. We got Champions League upcoming again for this week, which is exciting. So a lot of games we're going to be watching. A lot of footy this week. I'm excited. And here to help me talk LAFC, we got Justin. Justin, how you doing?
Doing well, man. Always great to be on here and talk some footy and some LAFC.
Yeah. Outside of footy, did you do anything else? Did you watch anything? Anything else catch your eye?
All I've been hearing about is this WrestleMania stuff, and I think that WrestleMania, like just wrestling, has to be the most. See, okay, there we go. I think
There
this
we
has to
go.
be the most polarizing thing in sports or whatever, because either you love wrestling and you think it's like so entertaining, and you're going to go to WrestleMania and all these things, or you're like me and you think I don't understand why people pay to watch this. It's just a play, right? But I guess people like plays,
Sort
so
of.
if you like plays,
So it's entertainment. Let me put it this way. So I gotta go. This was my first time going to WrestleMania. And I gotta go. Because of work, like the work stuff that I do. And I've always, as a kid, like I don't watch wrestling. I don't keep up with it anymore like I used to. Right, like when I grew up and like watching The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. So to me, as a kid, I always wanted to go, and I always could. That was one of like the goals. So like it was such a nostalgic moment that being there this weekend, it was just one of those things that was just like I didn't realize that how it would take me to my childhood and seeing all these all the wrestlers because they had John Cena, right? Um and to me it was the entertainment value. Like actually being there and watching a wrestling match and watching how entertaining it was. Because it reminded me of when I was a kid again and watching it on TV. But even though it's quote unquote scripted or whatever, when there's something is like that, it's still entertaining. Like if it's not entertaining, they're not selling out 80,000. It was like 81,000 per day. Like there was a 2 day thing, and just watching it live, just to me was like the entertainment value was insane. And I get to go to a lot of these sporting events, right? Like a game that we watch when we watch a footy game this weekend, right? A 0-0 draw could be one of the most exciting or one of the most boring things you could have done, right? And to
Mhm.
me, it's like watching WrestleMania live. It brought back memories of why I enjoyed wrestling, even though I didn't keep up with it. But it was just like the entertainment and value is unmatched, and it was really cool to see. And then they even like Rey Mysterio, who was good friends with Eddie Guerrero. I don't know, this may be going over your head, Justin. I don't know, but he came out to Eddie Guerrero's theme song. Eddie Guerrero passed away. I think it might have been I don't recall. He passed away, and it was very tragic. I saw recall. So he came out to his theme song, and that when I heard the theme song come out, it just like took me back when I was like 10, 12 years old. And it was a crazy feeling. I was looking to the guy. He's like, "Dude, I'm about to cry." The guy next to me, he's like, "I'm about to cry." And it was just one of those things that they know how to put a story together, and they know how to tell it in an amazing way, and it's so captivating. Even Snoop Dogg did the People's Elbow, which is like the Rock's move yesterday. So it's like it's an awesome thing how they collab with like people who are you know like artists. Like they had Little Uzi Vert, and like how diverse it is, and everything. And I don't know, news today just broke that they sold to UFC or something. They're partnering with UFC. But at the end of the day, to say this, Justin, I know some people don't get it. Some people, but to me, it's worth the money. It is definitely worth the money. And I don't know. I was satisfied. I was happy that, like I said, the 10-year-old, 12-year-old is very proud of myself today. So that's why I'll leave it at that.
No, I love that. I appreciate it because now I mean I get that the entertainment aspect and but the way I approach it is to simply look at it as a Broadway show or something like that where it's just high level entertainment for people. And yes, it's scripted, of course, every moment is, but if it entertains people, that's worth going. Doesn't
Yeah,
have to be an actual sport where it's unscripted.
true, true. I just feel like Broadway's more for like adults, and this is a thing. This is like a family thing, right? So it's like
Right.
you could be a dad. and then the
Yeah,
new
I just meant in
generation,
the
right?
terms
Like,
of the scripted, not
oh,
necessarily in
gotcha,
terms of the
gotcha.
actual product.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, that's the other thing about it too. It's like, right, when we go to a footy game, right? It doesn't matter your mom, your dad, your cousin, or your sister, or whatever. Like when you go to an LAFC game, you know you're gonna be entertained, regardless if you
Right.
understand footy or you don't understand it, right? Because of the 32-52 and all these different things, right? Obviously, you and I, like footy nerds, were like, okay, yeah, that is all cool, but let's see how they play on the pitch, right? And I think those are things like me not being in the wrestling hemisphere and keeping up with it. It was their entertainment. Like I didn't know who the main guys were, but I recalled all the other guys, and I was like, wow, that was really cool. I was really and then the show was just insane, man. Like they had a stage. It was, to me, it blew me away, and I was like, wow. Like I'm happy I
No.
went. I'm happy I was able to be part of it. And then I got a shirt. I was like, I spent the money. They got me for $40 or whatever the shirt was. But like I usually don't buy the shirts, but I was like, yo, I need to buy the shirt.
No, I think that's exactly it. The difference to me, I guess, is just as you mentioned. Sometimes you'll watch a boring nil-nil soccer game, and you would have rather gone to WrestleMania, where you're guaranteed entertainment. But then, to me, the difference becomes, well, we look at it, an MLS Cup where Gareth Bale has that moment, and then LAFC win
Yeah.
it, and all these
Yeah.
things, and you can't compare those two because that's real versus
Hmm.
scripted, and you're always going to have an entertaining script. It's always going to have something. They're going to write something good, but when something like that happens in real life, to me, it's a whole different entity.
Yeah, no, look, I feel you. I feel you. Look, I think to me it's just like the sports of just entertainment, and now that I've understood like the entertainment aspect of what it is, because look, right, there's some MLS teams that can't get any people to watch their games at their stadiums, regardless of who they have on
Mhm,
the roster, right? It's because they can't
mhm.
they haven't figured out a way how to provide that value of entertainment. Because it's like, why would I spend 20 but or like, why would I spend, I don't know what MLS ticket costs, $80 per person on a ticket when I don't think I'm gonna get my money's worth, right? Now
Yeah,
if
I
you
mean,
talk about a team of LAFC or somebody or wherever or Portland or Austin, you're gonna get your money's worth, for $80 or whatever. And I think those are the things that, now that we start talking about footy here, it's like those are the things that certain MLS clubs have been able to understand and they've been able to do. And the teams, the MLS clubs that haven't been able to like wind the people in, they're like, hey, regardless, you're still going to get your money's worth, and it's going to be entertaining to take. Because if you take a family of four, let's say tickets are $80. I don't know how much they are. Four was that's 320. That's 320 right there, and you're gonna buy food. That's like another $100 and stuff like that. Like, if you have a family of four, you're probably gonna be spending maybe close to, with tickets included, 300 to $500. I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is. So it's like, you have to justify that, then
mhm.
this is why I understand why you don't have any kids right now, Justin.
Oh, well, okay, we're not even close to that. I'm 23, man, but, no, no, no. As far as I hope tickets aren't $80 anymore, um, but, I mean, you bring up a great point. I mean, you look at San Jose, right? They're struggling to bring in more than 12,000 people, and
Yeah,
that
it's
and they
embarrassing.
they are and they're turning into a good team, right? They got Espinoza starting to, get in that MVP talk. Abobasi had a great year last year. You expect him to be good again. They have Cade Cowell, an exciting young prospect. They brought in a new DP. They're doing a lot of the product on the field is not bad in San Jose anymore, in my opinion, and they still can't draw people, right? So
Yeah.
something's there's a disconnect there.
Yeah, they gotta, I think they would like that. They have to bring someone in to be like, maybe not MLS wise or
But
MLS
if
experience,
Cade
just
Cowell doesn't
someone who
excite you,
understands.
like one of your own coming through and a U.S. men's national team product at such a young age, like if he doesn't excite you, I don't know what will.
No, but I'm saying you got like, it's not just about like the diehards. The diehards are gonna show up no matter what. It's like, how do you get the novice? How do you get the people that
Mm.
don't know anything about footy? How do you know the people? That's what I'm saying. Like, how do you get those
But
people? And
don't you
that's what I'm
think
saying. When you
those
look at
people
LAFC,
sorry, not to cut you. Don't you think those people care more about the U.S. men's national team and a Cade Cowell potentially getting to the U.S. men's national team than they do like a Blaze Matuidi, somebody or a European player that can come over and that has European pedigree, but they don't know European footy if they're not. They know U.S. men's national team. To me, that's what they would probably care most about. Maybe I'm wrong.
yeah, but what I'm saying, no, I mean that I think that's a little bit further of a point. But what I'm saying is like, how do you get the average folk to like doesn't really know anything? Oh yeah, to spend that money that they're going to spend on the weekend to go spend it in San Jose. Like, you know what I'm saying, like they haven't that San Jose hasn't mastered, understood like
Mhm.
how they can draw people in and make it entertaining. Choose us over going out to, I don't know what else is San Jose, Stanford or whatever, or going to the movies or whatever. Like this is gonna be more. This is gonna be exciting. How do you get this to, like, all your friends are posting this on social media and all these different things? Like the product on the field is one thing, that's what the coaches and players and everything. Now the business aspect is their entertainment value. Is how do you draw the average fans? How do you draw the fans that don't know anything about footy? Right? You take a fan, you take like the reason I bring up LAFC so much is like I've taken friends there, I've taken people there. I'm assuming you've gone with friends that know a little bit of footy, or like even people that they know that I go to the games a lot. They will message me or text me. They're like, "Hey, I've never watched a football game in my life, but that LAFC game was insane." They're like, "I'm an LAFC fan," and there's different things. When you start getting people like that, you're doing something right, and that's what LAFC has been good at, capturing that the entertainment value, and that's what it is. Right? When I go to San Jose, I don't know. Say I live in San Jose, maybe the product has been so bad for so long that, like, they probably had that one bad experience. It's now about like, how do you bring them back in? How do you
Mhm.
change the culture? How do you change that? I know we're going way, way off on a tangent over here, but I think it's just
No,
interesting.
it's
It's just interesting because it's that, like, if I was like an MLS person or whatever, you got to understand like how you do it. Like the NBA, man, like for example, too, the NBA is amazing. It doesn't matter. Like it's always high scoring, right? There's going to be a dunk. There's going to be like the games are high scoring, so it's very easy to understand. And when you watch an NBA game, for the most part, right, you're gonna get your money's worth for the most part, and that doesn't really need to sell itself. But they're tied into the culture and all these different things, right? Like LFC is tied in with the culture here, with some of the artists or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's at
Mhm.
times it could be very like LA or Hollywood, and that's what I'm saying. Like WrestleMania did that. They're tied in with the culture. You have people like Snoop Dogg, Becky G, Little Uzi, like all these different things. I don't think San Jose has done that. Like, you need to bring in the
Oh,
local
definitely
artists
not.
from San Jose. You need to bring the local, people that are part of the culture in San Jose. And like, if that
Mhm.
person's going and I rock with that person, I'm gonna go to the game or I'm gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I
but
think the
yeah,
closest
look,
they
if,
did to that was Pilo, but that's yeah, not even doing very much. But it's I mean it's a relevant point right now, right? I mean you can say the same thing as bringing people into the stadium as watching on TV. We know the Apple TV deal is they're bringing in what was reported today 40% of the subscriptions that
yeah,
they
so that,
expected. Which first of all, whoever made those projections was clearly way off of their mark, but even still, right? Apple is not getting what they would have expected clearly, and that's not a good sign when they have an opt out at some point. So we're gonna have to see what's going on with that. And clearly, Apple's not doing, and the league is not doing their job in getting people to not only buy the subscription, but just watch on Apple TV. Something I was discussing earlier with some people was why did they not give a free month for the first month to get people hooked, and then they have to pay the rest of the season. That's how you get people. That's what every other subscription service does, but Apple TV didn't want to do that for some reason.
yeah, well, I think they did that. Like, I got T-Mobile, and they give everybody that has T-Mobile free MLS pass, which is
Right.
cool. Um, but I think on that aspect, on the MLS seasons pass as a whole, is they got to do, and I think they're gonna do this. They hired the directors that did Formula One, right? They did the
Yeah,
Formula One Netflix show.
the
I forgot what
Drive
it's
to
called. So
Survive thing.
the
Yeah,
drive, is that what it's called? So I've
I
seen
believe
like, I
so.
think I saw like 2 or 3 episodes, and I was like, this is insane. Like, I mess with these drivers. I like this driver, that dude. Like, once you start learning about the drama and everything, that's what engages me, that I know nothing about Formula One, right? So now talking about the MLS, right? They need to do that. Hopefully they're able to produce this season for next season. Um, and what's gonna get people hooked is drama, right? What is the drama between these teams, right? What are some of the heated rivalries? Once that's what I'm saying, once the average person understands, like Ted Lasso, right? No one, or Ted Lasso is like a perfect example because no one knows really. Everybody that loves Ted Lasso doesn't really know that much about footy, but it ties in because it hits in, like, like really like things that you learn about life and all these different things, right? It's not really about footy, it's about just like life in general, right? But I think if MLS can capture or mimic something that they did with Formula One on like the drama, and say like what who's biggest rival, right? LAFC versus LA Galaxy. You get into that drama of like the players, or if they're able to portray it in an entertainment way, because it's
Mhm.
gonna be like what reality TV or
Vela versus
series, right?
Chicharito.
Yeah, yeah, Vela Chicharito. But I even think that in itself is not that captivating because Vela and Chicharito aren't they're like friends, which is they're cool with each other, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But like you're not gonna no one wants to see you be friends when you're
All right,
playing
focus
for
on
the
Raheem
opposite team.
Edwards then.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can focus on Raheem Edwards. Raheem Edwards would be great, right? He used to play for like that. That is a story is engaging, and you get those sound bites. I think that MLS needs to do that, but I just feel like they don't have that many outspoken players.
Mhm.
And I hope I'm wrong, but hopefully when they film this, they need a couple outspoken players to be like, "Hey, so and so, or this and that," or like because I just feel like some right now where we are with MLS is just not as engaged. You're not getting the things that this player said something about this player or about this player or
You
whatever.
want
It's
more
very
drama.
yeah, and that's how you're gonna get the average fan. Dude, that literally is look, bro. Everybody watch. I rarely watch Netflix and all that, but I started watching Succession, and that thing got me hooked because the drama is just like, bam, this that. The brother doesn't get along with the dad or whatever, and it's just like I'm like, this show is insane, like. So that's, I mean, if someone wants to hire me for the MLS, I guess this is my pitch, like this whole podcast episode, because I feel like I understand like certain things that like well, at least I feel like I do, right? Because it's those certain
Yeah.
things that like when it comes to the drama and the captivating thing, right? I don't know if you ever watched a show or some reality show and you're like, why do people watch this show? And then you watch an episode, you're
Yeah,
like,
no.
oh, I get it. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I get it. This is entertainment, the drama, so and so, or and all these different things. And if MLS, well, I feel like Apple will be able to do that, be able to captivate that because it's Apple's one of the biggest companies in the world. And I think
Mhm.
once you're able to storytell through that series, then you're gonna get people to subscribe to the season pass and everything like that. And I really feel like Apple, if they're able to do that, they're really gonna bank on MLS and stuff. But you just got to get a couple more outspoken players to really you know feel the drama going and get the average fan to be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely watching, because LAFC versus the Galaxy it's a no brainer. But you need a Colorado versus, I don't know, San Jose. You need people to watch something like that. It needs to get to a point where people are interested in watching a Colorado versus San Jose. But right now, people aren't because the stories aren't really there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think that is where they need to do it. And I just think the engagement with the individual fan, like for example, MLS fantasy, I think is another place they're really failing. Like fantasy is a
Hmm.
way that a lot of Americans
Yeah.
get into sports, and then they get in not only to the sport itself, but dedicated into watching every game or and following every single day or every game day at least. And I just think, MLS fantasy is probably the most poorly constructed fantasy I've ever seen. And so there's people like me who just don't want to play it because it's so bad. Like I do because I cover the league, but if I didn't, like it's just it deters so many people. I think that could get into the league, but less so even than what you were saying about the drama. But it's just layers on layers for me.
Yeah, because that on that aspect, I used to play fantasy. I used to do like years ago. I used to do like the daily fantasy on DraftKings and
Hmm.
FanDuel. But the thing that I think that hurts, maybe you could probably speak on this more, but what I recall, the thing that kind of hurts MLS is like usually in the NBA and NFL, for example, LeBron, if LeBron James is playing tomorrow, whenever they play, right? LeBron James is playing or not, because fantasy, well, if you're in fantasy, you need to know if you're going to start LeBron on your lineup or you're not, right? And with the MLS, I think they've gotten better since I've been covering the league. But there's been the times that you wouldn't know like so and so and they're out, and you don't know until like the game starts, and then that messes up your whole lineup, right? If so and so, maybe you're talking a little bit more of the like how it's constructed, and maybe you can speak on that. But to me, it's like when you get that information out, and I know a lot of teams like to be very particular on sharing that information, but I think the more you're transparent with the fans and the people, and you're right, and get people engaged to play fantasy, it grows the league in that aspect because people are going to know who, for example, Timothy Tillman or Stipe, or someone that doesn't get regular minutes, they're gonna know who's who, right? Because that player had a good game or this and that, and that's how you get engaged, and that's how people know about, like, in the NFL, about, like, so and so, like a player that just pops off out of nowhere, and I think that's also another aspect where they could get better. But what are some of the things that you don't like about the MLS fantasy?
No, I think you're hitting on another great point, which is just that, the information availability when it comes to just pure information from clubs is not very much for the public. Even when it comes to simple things like transfer fees that aren't public they're international transfer fees. That's simple information that is public everywhere else in the world in every other league, basically. And it's not here. But as far as MLS, I just think it's impossible to keep up. It disincentivizes long-term playing because you can change your entire team every single week, which not only means that you have to invest, an hour or two of your time every single week, which is a lot for most people. But it
Mhm.
also means that if you miss a week, then you're probably way behind, and it's harder to catch up than it would be if you can only make a transfer a week like you can in the Premier League, right? So I just think but I could go on and on. There's a lot of ways that I think it could improve. But as you said, if MLS wants to hire me to fix MLS fantasy, I'd be happy to.
Right? Like, I mean, there's just certain things that you see and I see and be like, okay, if they, right, obviously those decisions are, they got to be made in a certain way. But I think there's already an example. To me, I think that the NBA is the greatest, is the best league in the world. I had an opportunity to cover it, just how they go about it, and just different things, and just how things are, and just the natural drama of the players and everything, and how it goes, and how entertaining it is. To me, like, you can never guarantee what the NBA, but you have a perfect, well, I shouldn't say perfect, but you have a great model to look off of, right? You can be
Mhm.
like, okay, maybe MLS, we could do these things, but we probably can't do all these other things, right? It's just what it is. But I think, I don't know. I just, to me, it appears that they haven't looked at certain things, or they haven't been able. Maybe they have tried, but they haven't been able to be like, okay, let's do this, let's do that. Because things like the fantasy, or things like certain things, are being able to storytell, or being able to push certain narratives. I'm not saying you're gonna have to, like, force people to be someone who they're not, but you also got to be able to capitalize on certain things like that. You know what I'm saying? And I just think, like, you have a model to look over, and you're kind of missing the mark a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
But also, I think, to me, like, one of the biggest stories this year too is, you look at what's going on with the Galaxy, right? Everybody wants Chris Klein out and everything like that. That should be, like, everywhere, in my opinion. Like, right?
Yeah,
Maybe it doesn't help
I
the
don't think the
league.
league wants to promote that.
Yeah, but it doesn't
That's the
help.
thing.
Doesn't help but and that is a good story. That is an
No, it
insane
is.
story. That is an
Well,
insane
you
story.
can make it into a great story too. Now they've taken Will Kuntz from LAFC. I mean, you
Yeah.
can really make that into a good story. But I don't think that the league wants to focus on the disarray or the issues with the fan base and with the Galaxy and that type of issue. So I think they want to focus on the positive light. I think that's the mentality of
Yeah,
the league, which
but bro,
often moves away from the
I'm with
drama.
you.
Yeah.
I'm with you, but there's right now there's nothing positive about the Galaxy. They haven't won a game. So
Oh,
it's
and I agree.
like,
No, I completely agree with you that that's not the way to approach it because you have to understand reality and some teams are doing well, some teams are not. And you got to be able to tell both storylines. But I just think that that's not the approach that the MLS has taken as a league, and I agree with you that that's not the correct approach.
yeah, and there's just certain things that, to me, when you look at that's going on, I wonder. I'm surprised that the league, like, like, when it's such a bad light, like, the league is like, yo, like, obviously you're not going to tell how someone essentially how to run their business, but it's like, he's such a polarizing character that it's just like, it makes that side of the league look so bad. Just in my opinion. But look, optics are optics. But, like, if you don't have fans going to or you don't have supporters going to the game, that's the one thing. I don't think you can, any team, regardless of how bad or anything like that. I find it really hard to, um if you're a pro club and you're not align with your fans on an issue like this, and there's that much disconnect, and there's that much hate. I just don't think I think it's going to be very hard for you to be a successful club, because if you can treat your fans in that way, how do you expect to get them back? You know, how do you
Uh,
expect to?
look, if we're going to talk about Galaxy, look, the fact that they got Will Kuntz and they still kept Chris Klein doesn't make any sense to me, right? If you have the ability to bring in Will Kuntz, you give him the GM job. You let Klein go. Now the fans are happy, and you've stolen the one of the top guys of your biggest rivals front office, right? The number two since day one of LAFC. And so now, not only have you stolen him, but you've appeased the fans, and he's also incredible at his job. He should be a number one in this league. The fact that he's not at LA Galaxy makes me think the only reason he's probably there is because he got a really big paycheck. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense to me. But
Yeah,
to me, I don't know why you're keeping Klein around when you have the ability to bring in a guy like Kunz.
I think he just has. I think when at this point, Chris Klein has so much of a pull and a say that he
He
is.
must.
I think that he is the boss. The like I don't think anybody else, or the guy above him. I think he has so many other things to worry about, that this is one of the things least on his that on his that he's worried about, because it's like, yeah, like that. And what's so crazy? I probably told you this last week, but I don't recall. I was talking with someone with an LAFC. It was like, it'd be crazy if Will Kuntz went to the Galaxy and this happened. But I was just like, I'm with you. I was like, it makes no sense why they would still keep Chris Klein around, because he hasn't done anything. But it's just like, I think to me, he's the one. And also, it's so weird that this happened during the season, and he didn't join before this season, and that tells me that, like, at least for me, it's like Will Kuntz wanted a lot more. I would say, like, control decision making, and maybe that's something Chris Klein wasn't willing to do. And now that this whole thing is going on, and the boycott and everything, then they brought him on. And I'm not sure. I don't know if I've missed. I might have missed it, but I don't. They announced him publicly just yet of the Galaxy? I don't know if I might
No,
have
I don't.
missed
I
it.
don't think so. Tommy Scoop said it, so that's all we
Yeah,
need.
yeah, no, I
But
mean,
yeah,
I
I
know,
mean,
I know you can on that, obviously, whenever
yeah, but we don't
Tom
know
says
his
something.
official title and things like that. Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
know exactly what it's going to be, but we do know that because Tom said it that he's not the number one. Obviously, that Klein is still
Mhm.
the number one, and so whether he's that number two or whatever else he is, it just doesn't make sense because to me, he is a number one in this league, and really,
Yeah.
he's probably
Well, that's why
better
you
than
left
Chris Klein.
LAFC. That's
Well,
why
he's
you
probably
left
better than Chris
LAFC.
Klein. So I just don't get it.
Oh, without a doubt. I think, bro,
Yeah,
there's a lot. I
but if
mean,
he's leaving LAFC, who are in a great spot defending MLS Cup champions, to then go get a number one job, right? Why would you take anything but a number one job, much less the same job at a club doing worse at the moment? Like it just doesn't make sense, unless, of
there's
course, as
there's
I said
probably
earlier,
yeah.
that paycheck.
It's probably the paycheck's probably also the paycheck. I mean, yeah, you're right, because look, if you leave the number one club, you typically leave to move up. You don't leave to go
Right.
down. You especially when
Right.
you've done what you've done at LAFC, you move to go up, and I think it's definitely the money. I would assume someone in his position will definitely want more control in the decision making and be the guy.
Mhm.
So maybe he sees this as a opportunity of being the guy, but it's Chris Klein has such a dark shadow that I think it's going to be very hard for him to operate unless they start winning.
That's the
And
thing is that I would
it's just such a dark cloud with Klein still being there.
That's the thing. I would expect it to be more of like as you brought up the show Secession, that type of idea. If Kuntz is taking the job, like, oh, I think Clyden's going to get out. I think I'm going to get that job next. But it doesn't seem that way, as you've been saying, right? That doesn't seem
Yeah,
like the situation at all. And if that were the situation, I would understand Kuntz. Okay, he's going to be that number one next. I just don't see that. So
yeah,
it's very confusing from multiple ways.
yeah. We'll have to see, because it's an interesting situation. It's an interesting situation, and we'll see when they identify the role and what it is. Yeah,
Mhm.
because it's very interesting. And I look, I believe Will Kuntz could definitely help out that team, especially when it comes to transfers and recruiting and all these things and its connections with the league and all that. But right now, there's a dark cloud, and on top of that, you can't bring any players here, in the summer. So it's a steep hill to climb. Let's put it that way. It's a steep hill to climb. And look, if Kuntz wanted a challenge, obviously this is definitely a challenge. But look, we've seen how he's helped LFC, and now it's going to be interesting to see how he does with the Galaxy, because the resources do not appear to be the same, and that's one of
Yeah.
those things too.
Yeah.
Justin, anything else you'd like? Look, we barely really talked game or anything like that, but I felt like this conversation was a lot more intriguing than anything that happened.
Yeah, of course,
With these
the
teams,
game was pretty boring. So it was LAFC on the front foot, and then it got a little sloppy. It got a little fatigued. The passes weren't quite there. Colorado took over for the end of the first half into the second half, and it just wasn't the most entertaining game. So I think this is a little bit more entertaining of a discussion than
yeah.
talking
It was
about that
honestly, I
0-0
feel like
draw.
what. Yeah. Well, look, let's look moving forward. Obviously, Champions League here on Wednesday. Obviously, LAFC travel to Vancouver, and then obviously they play at home on Saturday. So it's good to see what they got, what they're doing, and trying to manage all these games. Big game, and look, it's gonna be on turf. I don't know if we'll see Chiellini play, because
I
so
doubt
far
it.
I don't think he's played in any of the turf games. So Wednesday, just a few days away. Be interesting. Big game. Obviously, you want to get a positive result. You want to get a couple of goals. If you can walk away with the win, obviously that's a plus. If you get a tie, it's not the worst thing. But yeah, we're looking that into Wednesday and obviously this weekend. Anything else you'd like to add before we let you go, Justin?
Yeah, just Wednesday is going to be a big one. I think a draw away would certainly be a positive result. I think Vancouver are in great form. They're unbeaten in six. They've won two of those games by 5-0 score lines. Right, they're very difficult to beat at BC Place at the moment. As you mentioned, no Chiellini. So I think it should be a very good game there, and yeah, should be very, very fun.
Yeah. Look, solid conversation. Solid convo on the optics and everything surrounding MLS. Because look, as you and I are so invested, just like everybody else, we see some of the things where the MLS has done good, but there's other ways that they can definitely improve the product. And entertain more people. So I enjoyed this conversation. I really did. I really enjoyed this conversation. Hopefully, the people at home, either watching or listening, hopefully enjoyed it as well. We could share, how bright Justin is. That's why we have him on here. So,
Oh man, always good to talk with you, Gio.
of course, brother. All right, man. Well, you take it easy, everybody. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you guys next time.